All right, guys. So we have Jay Johnson here, five-time, right? Navy champion,
5 time. Yep.
five-time Navy champion, and glad to have you with us. This is our second installment of Get to Know So and So, that working title. But yeah, let's get started. So first of all, Jay, who is Jay Johnson? Just man to man, like who are you, just as a person? Let's
Yeah.
start there.
I'm just another guy, right? Been bowling my whole life, started as a kid. Obviously, 30 years later, here we are.
Yeah,
Um, Family, got my wife, got my son, got my day job, doing my corporate America thing in the IT world, and, bowling on the weekends when I'm not doing family stuff.
yeah, yeah. And take us through your early life up to the present day, just off the lane, just in life.
Oh man, nothing really exciting. The normal school routine, right? After high school, I went to college. I went to Sacred Heart. So
Okay.
bowling kind of drove me there. Got my career right out of college, right into the IT world.
Yeah.
I've been doing that ever since for, geez, almost 20 years now. So that makes me feel really old. Um, I think outside of, bowling and family, my other kind of interests, really big into fantasy baseball. I actually wrote a book on it almost 8, 9 years ago. So you can
Really?
check that out on Amazon if the fans are interested.
We got to check that out. That's
Yeah.
awesome. So I guess that kind of leads us into our next question, your hobbies and interests. So we know about baseball. What else?
Um, I'm not all that exciting, right? Like bowling consumes a whole lot of the free time. I don't do many other sports. Now that my son is 11, a lot of my interests kind of revolve around a lot of his interests. So, whether he's into video games, which, I used to be a big gamer when I was younger. He's into
Mm,
Pokemon a long time ago. I used to be into Magic the Gathering. So, I kind of do whatever he's interested in. It's a good time
mm.
for us to bond around those types of things.
Okay, switching gears. Take us through your bowling journey, all the way from the beginning up until the present day.
Sure. Yeah. I
Yep.
mean, juniors started when I was, I think, 6. So I've legit been bowling for like 35 years. Um, Junior leagues as a kid kind of morphed into JBTs. They're unfortunately not around anymore, but there's tons of junior stuff these days. But that was the junior big thing for me when I was a kid. And that got me up until college. In college, I bowled for Sacred Heart. And at the same time, that's kind of when I started my NEBA journey. I did NEBAs for probably 7 or 8 years, pretty consistently. But then when I had my son, I was around 28 and took a bunch of years off, right, to focus on family. I still bowled
Okay.
leagues. I still, kept myself competitive. But I was a little bit away from the tournament scene for maybe 6 or 7 years. I came back to Neba once he was a little bit older and kind of doing his own thing and didn't quite want as much daddy time. And I've been bowling, maybe the last 3 years, full time competitive again.
Yeah, you have five NEBA titles, and just take us through what you remember about each of them. Just kind of walk us through each of those events.
Sure.
Yeah.
The first one was in '07. Feels like a long time ago, but I remember it pretty clear. It was a trios, bowled with Bill Webb and RJ Broge. And,
Wow.
it was in Brockton, Mass. It was a tough pattern. I remember in the finals that we had to win 3 matches, and each match somebody struggled, somebody bowled pretty well, and somebody bowled really well, and we all kind of took turns. Um,
Yeah.
I forget who we beat in the finals. It was Alex Aguiar, and I don't remember the others, but it was a good match. Um, and then I didn't win again until last year. So a 15-year
Mm.
gap. I mean, there was several years in there that I wasn't participating in NEBA, but
Your son.
um, yeah, last year was a crazy year with 4 titles. So it was the trios in February again with RJ and Webb, and again Alex in the title match. It's kind of crazy how the two tournaments had so many similarities. And then in March, I won my first singles at Silver. A lot of emotion with that one, so it was special. And then just a couple months later in Rutland, the first one in Vermont in ever. That was
Yeah.
really nice, with John Wilbur and the crew up there hosting it. Really had a great time there. And then in Keene in July, in the singles. So a lot of success in a short period of time. It was really weird processing that. Something I certainly wasn't used to. It was a really special year last year.
Yeah, I mean, I guess a follow-up question, off the cuff, like, what do you think has led to your burst of success in the past year and a half?
Certainly a lot of mental growth over the time. When I was young, yeah, I threw it good, but when you're young, you don't necessarily know better, right? It's easy to get flustered. It's easy to, not have a lot of mental maturity. One thing I definitely did last year was a lot of focus on my mental game. I read several books on, sports psychology, really, really tried to stay in the moment and not let my mind wander, just kind of focus on the task at hand. Like every sports cliche you've ever heard, like they're real, one shot at a time, all those types of things. Like try to put that into practice and not think about winning, not think about, striking, think about just executing a good shot. When you do that, it eliminates a lot of the mistakes that I think people make.
And easier said than done, of course, but I can see
geez,
how,
yeah.
but when you combine all that, that's a dangerous combination that a lot of people at these events, they're going to have a tough time beating that when you're firing on all cylinders with that. So
yeah, and I mean it doesn't work out every time, right? And it's hard to do every time and keep that focus, but occasionally all the stars align and things do work out.
The other thing that must have been pretty crazy past year, a regional contract with Storm. Do I have that right?
Amateur contract with Storm, yeah.
Amateur contract with Storm, yeah. So that must have been cool. Take us through that.
It was cool. I've always really liked the Storm product. I've been throwing it almost exclusively for the past several years. I mean, they make a really, really good product. It's filled my arsenal. I've had a ton of success. I'm very happy with them. And then I applied at the end of 2022 and was fortunate enough to get an offer in this year. And I'm really, really proud to represent the best brand in bowling.
Yeah, most popular brand in bowling, isn't it?
Oh, they're great. Every ball, is solid.
Yeah, I concur. So we talked about the NIBA titles. We talked about Storm. What else are you most proud of in regards to your accomplishments throughout your career?
If you asked me this question a year ago and you asked me this question now, it's totally different. Winning bowler of the year last year was just insane to me. When you look at the names of the people that have done that, like it's all the greatest bowlers of all time, amateurs in New England, right? Litch and Webb and Alex. My name's on that list, right? It doesn't feel like my name should be on that list with those guys. But here we are. So had a really nice year and feel just really fortunate that I was able to kind of hold off the field. Now the expectations are high every tournament I go out there, right? Like it's gotta repeat, gotta always make the cut, gotta always finish high. And sometimes you do, sometimes you don't, but gotta keep grinding.
I guess that's a good leeway into your future goals, your outlook on the future. Take me through that.
So I try to do like two lists of goals, right? Like the stretch goals and the long-term goals, and then the goals that are immediately in front of me, right? The things that I can control. The stretch goal, the long-term goal, I'd love to be in the NIBA Hall of Fame, right? That'd be the next special thing, I could accomplish on my list. But you can't really think about that in the moment. When I'm bowling a tournament, I'm not thinking about that. The short-term goals, the things that are in my control, right? Maintain a single pin spare percentage over 95%. Maintain, clean game rate over 50%. The things that, that accumulate slowly over time, they lead to those stretch goals. So I'm always, yeah. I'm a big stats guy. I mentioned fantasy baseball before, and that translates into bowling. I've got the Pin Pals app on my phone. I've been tracking every game I've bowled for the past 4 years, maybe. So I'm like super focused on all of my stats, and I very closely look at my spare rates and things like that. And if I'm missing certain things, I'll work on those things. I think if I'm able to hit small, easy goals and accumulate all of that over time, the long-term goals they just kind of happen.
That's smart. Very smart. Yeah. So anything else you wanted to bring up in the interview? Any closing thoughts?
I think what you're doing is amazing. This page that you've started in the past few weeks, it's taken off. It's got a ton of traction, and keep doing what you're doing because I think it's going to be really great for the Northeast community.
Making me blush out here. Seriously though, I mean, like I was just telling you before the interview, you know, everyone knows like Barstool and I don't know, Bleacher Report for that matter, things like that. And I just kind of saw an empty void where you know, maybe I could step in and help out in that regard. And I'm just glad people are enjoying it, and glad you're enjoying it, man. You know, and I'm just glad you did this. You know, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I'm happy to help, man.
But yeah, anyway, guys, Jay Johnson, again, 5-time NEVA champion. Hopefully, many more to come. I personally think many more to come. But thank you guys for watching. We're gonna have a lot more interviews coming up, and yeah, take care, guys.
Thanks for having me, Matt. Appreciate it.